Hello everyone, this is Payal Vacha. Welcome to Pharma Desert. In this video, we will discuss about antiseptics and sterility testing part 1. So let's get started. These are the list of contents we will discuss in this video. First one, introduction of antiseptic, history of antiseptics, classification of antiseptics, side effect of antiseptic. Next part is sterility testing. What is culture media? For detection of aerobes, for detection of anaerobes, for detection of aerobes as well as anaerobes. Next one is Risazorin dye for detection of aerobes and lower fungi. And last one is testing procedure. We will discuss one by one. First one, introduction. Antiseptics are the agents kill or inhibit the growth of microorganism on the external surface of body. So what was the role of antiseptic? Antiseptic are the one type of agent. They kill or inhibit growth of microorganism that are present on external or outer surface of body. They are different from antibiotic, which destroy the microorganism internally, and disinfectant, which destroy microorganism found on non-living objects. So what is the difference between antiseptic, antibiotic as well as disinfectant? So antiseptic that are applied on living tissue and they kill or inhibit the growth of microorganisms that are present on external surface of body, while antibiotic they destroy the microorganisms that are present in internal body surface, while disinfectant which destroy the microorganism that found on non-living objects. So some common antiseptics include alcohol, iodine and hydrogen peroxide. So all are the example of antiseptics. Next one, there is a great variation in the ability of antiseptics to destroy microorganisms and in their effects on living tissue. For example, mercury chloride that is a powerful antiseptic but it irritates a delicate tissue, and in contrast silver nitrate which kills fewer germs but can be used on delicate tissue of eye as well as throat. So there is a great variation. What type of variation? In the ability of antiseptic, they destroy the microorganism and in their effects on living tissues. Let's take one example. Mercury chloride. That is a powerful antiseptic, but it irritates delicate tissue, while silver nitrate that kills fewer germs, but that is applied on eyes as well as throat. There is also great difference in time required for different antiseptics to work. So, different antiseptic have a different time period. Let's take example. Iodine, one of the fastest working antiseptic and which kills all the microorganism within 30 seconds time period. So, different antiseptic have a different time required to kill the microorganism. So iodine that is a one of the fastest working antiseptic and they kill the bacteria within 30 seconds. History of antiseptics. Joseph Lister in 1827 to 1912 pioneered the use of carbolic acid as an antiseptic agent and it is applied it to surgical wound. So this prevented the wound going septic begin to change toward the modern surgical practices. That is the figure of antiseptic that is applied on human beings. Classification of antiseptic. Those that denature the protein. Next one is those that causes the osmotic disruption or a breakdown of the cell. And last one is those that interfere with specific metabolic process. So three class is available. The first and second classification like denature protein as well as any antiseptic they causes the osmotic breakdown of the cell. This first and second classification, they are tend to kill the microorganism, while third class, they interfere with metabolic process, that may affect cell growth as well as reproduction without killing the cell. An antiseptic, in addition, they rapid in action and exert sustained protection, while that is a non-irritating to the tissue and that is a non-sensitizing in a nature. That is regarding characterization of antiseptics. Next one, examples of antiseptics. First one is hydrogen peroxide. Liberates nescons oxygen and which oxidize necrotic matter as well as bacteria, and that is help in loosening and removing slug and earwax. So what was the role of hydrogen peroxide? They liberate nescent oxygen and which oxidize necrotic matter as well as bacteria, and they helps in removing the slug or earwax. Next one is iodine. What was the role of iodine? Iodine, that is a rapidly acting broad spectrum agent. We already discussed what is broad spectrum agent. That is act by iodinating and oxidizing microbial protoplasm, and that is used for cuts, degerming skin before surgery, and high concentration which causes burn. So iodine, that is a rapidly acting broad spectrum agent, and that is act by, so how it is work, that is act by iodinating and oxidizing microbial protoplasm, that is used for cuts and degerming skin before surgery, and high concentration that causes burn. So if you are using high concentration of iodine, that causes burn. Next one, alcohol. In alcohol, one example is ethanol. Antiseptic cleaning agent at 40 to 90% concentration. So ethanol that are act as a cleaning agent and concentration that is about 40 to 90%. Ethanol that is act by precipitating bacterial protein. An irritant should not be applied on mucosal membrane, ulcers as well as open wounds. So ethanol that produce some type of irritation, so it can't or it shouldn't applied on mucosal membrane, ulcers as well as open wound. Next one is quaternary ammonium antiseptic. In quaternary ammonium compound, example is cetrimide. Cetrimide that have a detergent action, and cetrimide that is act by alter the permeability of cell membrane. So cetrimide that change the permeability of cell membrane as well as that is widely used as antiseptic and disinfectant for surgical instruments. Next one is biguanide. Example of biguanides is chlorhexidine. In chlorhexidine, that is act by disrupting the bacterial cell membrane and they causes denaturation of bacterial protein. That is a non-irritant, more active against gram-positive bacteria. So what was the role of chlorhexidine? Chlorhexidine that is act by disrupting bacterial cell membrane and they causes denaturation of bacterial protein, and that is more active against gram-positive bacteria. So what was the use of chlorhexidine? Chlorhexidine that is most widely used in surgical scrub, neonatal bath, mouthwash, and that is also act as a general skin antiseptics. Next one, chloroxylenol, or that are also called as Dettol. That is a phenol derivative that doesn't coagulate the protein. All are the characteristic of Dettol. They doesn't coagulate the protein. That is a non-corrosive and non-irritating to the skin, and commercial 4.8% solution that are used for surgical antiseptics, skin cream and soap that is about 0.8%, and mouthwash that is 1%. That is regarding chloroxylenol. Next one is uses of antiseptic. Antiseptic drugs that are used in the treatment of skin infections, that are also used for prevention of infections in cuts and wounds, and cleaning the skin area of surgery from the microorganism, and prophylaxis and treatment of infections in mucosal areas such as mouth, nose, and vaginal that are open to the environment. So, what was the use of antiseptic drug? Antiseptics that are most widely used in treatment of any type of skin infection, as well as that are used for prevention of infection that is occur in cuts as well as wounds, and that is a cleaning the skin area of surgery from the microorganism, as well as prophylaxis and treatment of infections in mucosal area like mouth, nose, and vagina that are open to the environment. Next one is side effects of antiseptic. They produce itching as well as primary using in vitro models to be a cytotoxic to the cells and essential for wound healing process such as fibroblast, keratinocyte, and leukocyte. They also produce skin itching and irritation, and severe allergic reactions are produced in some cases. So that is regarding side effect of antiseptics. Next one, sterility testing. A sterility test. First of all, what is sterility test? Sterility test that may be defined as a test that assess whether a sterilized pharmaceutical product that is free from contaminating microorganism. So sterility test, that is the one type of test, and that check whether a sterilized pharmaceutical dosage form that is free from any contaminating microorganism or not. And the following are the example of some of the preparation for which compliance with the test is required. Examples are ready-made injection including solution, suspension, and both aqueous as well as oily. Next one is eye drop, eye ointment, eye lotion, and water for injection. All are the sterile solution and perform the sterility test in all the product. Next one is human blood and the product obtained from the human blood. Next one, immunological products like vaccines and diagnostic preparation, implants, catgut, and absorbable hemostatics. All are the example of sterile product. Culture media. In culture media, first one, sensitivity. Sterility test media must initiate and maintain the vigorous growth of small numbers of the aerobic and anaerobic bacteria that can be cultivated on artificial culture media, including common saprophytes. So, in sensitivity, sterility test media, they must initiate as well as they maintain the growth of a small number of aerobic as well as anaerobic bacteria, and aerobic and anaerobic bacteria that can be cultivated on the artificial culture media. Which type of artificial culture media? Aerobic and anaerobic both are grow on artificial culture media like common saprophytes and pyogenic cocci such as Staphylococcus aureus and Streptococcus pyogenes. Next one is spore forming bacteria pathogenic to man. Second one, yeast and mold that are responsible for spoilage. Types. In types, sterility test should detect the bacteria, mold as well as yeast. So sterility test that is performed for detection of bacteria, mold and yeast. Separate media specifically designed for aerobes, anaerobes, yeast and mold may be used. So culture media that is separate. Aerobes have a different culture media while anaerobes have a different culture media, and yeast and mold that have a different culture media. So all the microorganisms have a separate culture media. Other experts believe that the purpose of sterility testing, the detection of many organisms as possible both in type and number, that is more likely to be fulfilled by the use of non-selective media such as broth, and that can support the growth of aerobes and anaerobes. Aerobes and yeast mold, these are known as joint media. So what was the purpose of sterility testing? The detection of many organisms is possible both in type and number, that is more likely to be fulfilled by the use of non-selective media like broth that can support the growth of aerobes and anaerobes, as well as yeast and mold. So all are known as joint media. According to WHO, World Health Organization report, culture media that are classified as follow. First one is for detection of aerobes, two type, peptone broth and glucose broth. Next one is for detection of anaerobes, cooked meat medium, semi-fluid meat medium, and liver broth. For detection of aerobes and anaerobes, four media, fluid thioglycolate medium, thioglycolate broth medium, corn strip liquor sodium thioglycolate medium, semi-fluid hydrosulfite medium. Next one is for detection of aerobes and lower fungi, seborrheic medium and soybean casein digest medium. First one for detection of aerobes, peptone broth. This is a name often used for a meat extract broth which containing a peptone. So peptone broth, according to their name, that is used for meat extract broth which contain peptone, and peptone, that is a one type of soluble protein. Second one is glucose peptone broth. This differs from only in containing 0.5% dextrose which promote luxuriant growth of many microorganisms. So what was the difference between peptone broth and glucose peptone broth? Peptone broth, that is a meat extract broth which contain peptone, while glucose peptone, they contain 0.5% dextrose and they promote luxuriant growth of many microorganisms. Digest broth would be acceptable alternative to these two media. Next one is for detection of anaerobes. First one is cooked meat medium. Example is for cultivation of anaerobic bacteria. Next one is semi-fluid meat medium. Example is sloppy agar media. Liver broth that are also used for cultivation of anaerobic bacteria. Although primarily recommended for anaerobes, these media contain sufficient oxygen in upper region to permit the growth of aerobes, as well as 1 and 2 medium sometimes used as a joint medium. So cooked meat medium and semi-fluid medium both are sometimes used as a joint medium. And third one, liver broth medium. They are primarily recommended for anaerobic species, and these media contain sufficient oxygen in upper region and they permit the growth of aerobes bacteria. Next one is for detection of aerobes as well as anaerobes. First medium, fluid thioglycolate medium. It is recommended in United Standard Pharmacopoeia and which contain following ingredients like sodium thioglycolate and dextrose act as a reducing agent, agar act as a viscosity enhancing agent, risazurin act as a redox indicator, while pancreatic digest of casein, that is act as a nutrient, carbon source, dextrose, growth factor source, that is a yeast extract, and NaCl. The amino acid L-cysteine is also included because it encourages the growth of certain Clostridia. Example, completely reduced colorless ideal as an anaerobic medium. Next one is more than 30% colored, that is unsuitable as an anaerobic medium, while small colored region, that is desirable when used as a joint medium. So amino acid L-cysteine is also included. Why? Because they encourage growth of certain Clostridia. Figure A, B and C. In figure A, that is a completely colorless, and that is ideal as an anaerobic medium. Second one is 30% colored, that is a unsuitable as an anaerobic medium, while C, that is a colored region, that is act as a joint medium. Next one is risazorin dye. It is used in microbiological culture media for anaerobes as an indicator of the presence of oxygen. So risazorin dye that is used in culture media. And what was the role of risazorin dye that is used as a culture media for anaerobes as an indicator of the presence of oxygen, and the dye that is turned into pink when oxygen is present, and risazurin that is a blue dye itself non-fluorescent until it is reduced to the pink in a color. Next one is thioglycolate broth medium. That is different from fluid thioglycolate medium in that it doesn't contain agar. So that is different from fluid thioglycolate medium that doesn't contain agar. Agar that is used to retard the inward diffusion of oxygen in fluid thioglycolate medium. So what was the role of agar in fluid thioglycolate medium? They retard inward diffusion of oxygen, and here it contains no agar. So they retard inward diffusion of oxygen, and this medium must be heated not more than 4 hours before use. So due to heat, it may inhibit growth of microbes and its use is no longer recommended. So due to heat that inhibit the growth of microbes, and that is not used for longer time period. Next one, Constip liquor sodium thioglycolate medium. That is different from fluid thioglycolate medium in the following respect. The nitrogen source is a meat extract instead of casein digest. Next one is the growth factor source, that is a corn strip liquor instead of yeast extract, and it contains sodium hydrosulfite is an additional reducing agent, while there is a no special supplement of L-cysteine. Last one, semi-fluid hydrosulfite medium. It is different from fluid thioglycolate medium. How it is different? They contain sodium hydrosulfite, replace the sodium thioglycolate as the main reducing agent, while peptone replaces the casein digest, and agar concentration that is almost twice as large, and no L-cysteine supplements that is present. For detection of aerobes and lower fungi, yeast and mold. So containing mold and yeast in a pharmaceutical products rarely harm the patient, and they are objectionable mainly because they cause spoilage. So one reason why they are now enforced is that the presence of fungi in a pharmaceutical preparation suggests aerial contamination during processing and provides a clue to the points at which improvements in aseptic technique must be made. So, for the detection of aerobes and lower fungi contaminating mold and yeast in any products, they harm the patient, rarely harm the patient, and they are objectable mainly. Why? Because they causes the spoilage. Next one reason why they are now enforced is that the presence of fungi in any pharmaceutical preparation, they suggest a aerial contamination during the processing, and they provide a clue to the points at which improvements in aseptic technique must be made. In testing procedure, prescribed quantities from the bulk or from each container of the material under test are transferred to suitable volumes of a medium, and after incubation at a specified temperature are examined for signs of living organisms. So prescribed quantities from bulk or from each container of material under test that are transferred to the suitable volume of medium, and after incubation at a specified temperature that are examined for a sign of living organisms. That is the prescribed quantities for the solution as well as suspension according to European Pharmacopoeia. If volume container that is about less than 1 ml, that is a complete content. Next one is volume that is more than 1 ml but less than 4 ml, 50% content that is used for sampling. If volume that is more than 4 ml but less than 20 ml, sample volume that is about 2 ml. And last one, volume container that is about more than 20 ml, sample volume that is about 10%. That is prescribed quantities for solution and suspension according to European Pharmacopoeia. To ensure that sample doesn't excessively dilute the ingredients and so impair the growth promoting properties of the broth, and the volume of culture medium should be at least 10 times the sample volume. So it should ensure the sample that doesn't excessively dilute the ingredients, so they impair the growth promoting properties of broth, and the volume of culture medium should be at least 10 times the sample volume. According to United States of Pharmacopoeia, volume in container that is less than 10 ml. So minimum sample volume that is a complete content, while minimum medium volume that is a 15 ml, while volume in container that is the less than 10 ml. So minimum sample volume that is a 1 ml and minimum medium volume that is up to 15 ml. While volume in container that is a 10 to 50 ml, so minimum sample volume that is a 5 ml and minimum medium volume that is about 40 ml. While last one, volume in container that is more than 50 ml, minimum sample volume is 10 ml and minimum medium volume that is about 80 ml. The minimum sample volume is the, so what was the minimum sample volume? That is the quantity to be used in each of the test for bacteria as well as fungi. So, minimum sample volume is the one type of quantity and that is particularly used in each of the tests for bacteria and fungi. Next one is for powders. According to European Pharmacopoeia, weight in container. If less than 50 milligram weight in container, so sample weight is about complete content. If more than 50 milligram but less than 200 milligram powder is present, so for sampling 50% content is used, and if more than 200 milligram powder is present in a container, 100 milligram powder is used as a sampling. And according to United States of Pharmacopoeia, less than 300 milligram content, then all content are added to 40 ml of medium. In incubation, temperature that is about the European Pharmacopoeia, they specify 32 to 32 degrees centigrade temperature for bacteria and 22 to 25 degrees centigrade temperature for fungi, while according to USP temperature that is about almost same 30 to 35 degrees centigrade for bacteria while 20 to 25 degrees centigrade for fungi. So, in incubation for bacteria and fungi, condition, temperature condition that is about European Pharmacopoeia as well as USP Pharmacopoeia. Next one is time, incubation time. The European Pharmacopoeia recommended at least 7 days unless otherwise specified in an official monograph, while USP, United States Pharmacopoeia, has the same period for steam sterilized products, but they require an extension to at least 14 days for other preparation. So, if according to European Pharmacopoeia, you may go. So, they recommended at least 7 days time period, while according to United States Pharmacopoeia, that has the same period of steam sterilized product, but they require extension to at least 14 days for other preparation. If steam sterilized product is present, so they require 7 days, but if other than steam sterilized product, they require 14 days. Frequency of inspection. The container should be inspected often. Example, every day. Why? Every day inspection that is must. Because some bacteria produce a detectable turbidity at first and which later settles as an insignificant deposit at a bottom of tube and leaves a clear uncontaminated broth above. So what was the frequency of inspection? So inspection, that is, occur at every day. Why inspection that is performed on every day? Because some bacteria have a capacity to perform, they produce a detectable turbidity. First of all, after that, they settle down in a bottom of tube and they give or they leaves clear uncontaminated broth. It is always advisable to fill the containers gently before examination to stir up any sediment. And another advantage of frequent inspection is the repeat test that can be set up immediately contamination if is detected. Next one is interpretation of result. So for interpretation of result, the bulk or lot that is passes the test if there is a no sign of growth in any of the containers. Next one is if growth is obtained. All the previously mentioned authorities allow the test to be repeated with fresh sample. So if no growth is present, so bulk or load that is pass. If growth is present or observed, so authorities allow the test to be repeated with a fresh sample. So authority give the suggestion to perform the test repeatedly with by using a fresh sample, and this is an attempt to rule over the possibility that the contamination in the first test came from faulty technique, while repeat test should be carried out with exceptional care to prevent a recurrence of accidental contamination. So repeat test, it should be carried out with exceptional care and they prevent recurrence of accidental contamination. If growth that is occur in the second test, European Pharmacopoeia and Therapeutic Substances regulations, they permit a further repeat. If growth that is occur in repeated test also, so according to European Pharmacopoeia, further test is performed. In the latter case, if growth is seen, it is concluded that test fails because the product must be heavily contaminated and if the same organism can be recovered from two randomly selected batches of sample. So if you are performing one time test and growth is observed, you perform second time test. If you are performing second time test, further growth is observed, you perform third time test and further growth is observed, that means concluded that test is failed because product that is heavily contaminated with the microorganisms. And if the third test is negative, sample that is passes, and if it is positive, sample that is fails. So if third test that is negative, that means growth is not present, so sample is pass away. And if test is positive, that means bacterial growth is observed, so sample is fails. According to WHO report, they recommended only one repeat of test on bulk material. Here the risk of accidental contamination is lower because fewer manipulations are involved than when final containers are tested. So according to WHO, only one repeat of test on bulk material. So risk of contamination is lower if only one repetition is occur. Why? Because fewer manipulation are involved than when final containers are tested. And it allows two repeats of final container test, but the batch fails if there are three or more, two or more, and any positive results in the one, first, second, and third test respectively. So they allow two repeats of final container test, but the batch that is fails if there are three or more, two or more, and any positive result in first, second, and third test respectively. Repeat tests have been strongly criticized. Cooked points out that if contamination is due to the sample. First one is retesting. They increases the likelihood of passing a contaminating batch. Example, if repeats are not allowed, a sample batch of say 10 containers will fail if one give a positive result. But if a repeat is allowed and all the results are negative, the contaminated lot will pass in spite of positive in first series. So in the sample retesting, they increase the likelihood of passing a contaminated batch. Let's take one example. If repeats are not allowed, a sample batch of say the 10 containers will fail if one give a positive result, but if a repeat is allowed and all the results are negative, the contaminated load they will pass in spite of positive in first series. In accidental contamination, it is possible that repeat tests that will become contaminated from the same source, and so the aim of preventing the rejection of sterile load won't be assisted. Finally, a quotation from Bryce in 1956, they referring to the interpretation of the repeat test of European Pharmacopoeia and Therapeutic Substances Regulations, a badge they consider an extreme case and could turn up anthrax and tetanus and yet be regarded as havingly passed. If any query or doubts related to topic, please write your questions in comment box. Thank you.